What's up, everybody? You've tuned in to Just Drawz, the podcast that explores hot topics and various experiences among same-gender loving Black men. In each episode, we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped-down perspectives to give voice to our frequently overlooked population. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep, peeling back the layers of our experiences as well as heteronormative stereotypes. Let's get into this week's episode.
Welcome to part 2, already in progress. So I was going to ask about you mentioned about your cousins and dark-skinned Black women. So since that's family, how did your family talk about gay people growing up, or did they? And did that have any impact on you?
When you country, they don't say gay. They say, he a little funny. He got a little sugar in his tank.
Sugar.
Yep, he funny. And this, and this right here.
He a little funny.
This right here. Yeah.
He called out his little roommate.
That's his friend.
That's his little friend. His little friend.
That's her friend.
Her little friend.
I will say this, that there were no discussions of that, but I seen something weird as a kid. And, as I have my picture of my grandmother and my father in front of me, I don't have one of my uncle. I will always refer back to this story. I was in the 3rd grade, and I lived in the same apartment complex as my father's brother, my Uncle Popeye. And my grandmother and my aunt were at my Uncle Popeye's house, and I ran over there to my Uncle Popeye's house, But I didn't like going over there by myself because Uncle Popeye was mean as fuck. Yeah, he was mean. He just cussed.
Y'all got that one mean.
He cussed out everybody for no reason. And so Grandma and Aunt Anna over there, and my cousin Missy and D'Amber, and we're my cousins are there. So I run over there to make sure that I'm with everybody. And my uncle is sitting at the table, and there's a plate of food in front of him. And there's this really skinny, dark-skinned man standing next to him who was really skinny. And he kept reaching over him, and everybody knew David. Everybody at church knew David. Everybody in the community knew David. So David was not new. But this particular day, I seen David reaching over my uncle's shoulder, cutting his steak up. And I was like, this don't feel right. Like something feels off about this. And I think that was the day that I realized, like, there's something different in this scenario here. And I don't know what it is. It didn't feel comfortable. It felt weird. And then, mind you, a few years later, my cousin comes to me, and she's at the library, and she comes home, and she reading this book for hours. I couldn't find her. I go find her. She's like, you need to read this book. Okay. So I go in the basement, and I start reading this book. I got so scared reading this book because of all the nature of everything that was being talked about in this book, that I put a cover over my head, turned the lights out, got a flashlight, was hiding in the corner of the basement reading this book. And it happened to be B-Boy Blues. So the mixed messages about the conversation, and then being introduced to gay New York at 15 years old, reading about Chi-Chi's and reading about The Monster and reading about, Christopher Street. And, little bit is talking to dark-skinned Pookie, who is masculine. He played ball and all these other things. And nobody in your family actually talks about these things. Nobody in your family said anything about these things, But then when you come out, my cousins were so upset with me when I decided to share my truth, part of my truth. It wasn't that the fact that I was gay. It was the fact that they learned from the internet.
Okay.
They felt that they should have been told first so that they could have walked through this with me. But they didn't realize the fear was letting your family down because you're the only one that got out. You got out of the neighborhood. You got out of the family. You traveled and went to school somewhere else. No one helped you with anything. So now you have this one thing that may cause you not to be able to bring a check back home to help your mom get out of the projects because the responsibility felt like it was put on you. And then later I learned that my mom, 2 years before I shared that stuff with my mom told my sisters, hey, your brother's gay. Don't say nothing to him until he come talk to you. That's just how she got down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my mom dared any and everybody in the family to say something around her about me. And
Mm-hmm.
nobody, ever wanted any smoke with my mama because she wasn't too.
Because she had that metal pole.
Right.
No,
She
no,
was
no.
not playing around.
It was metal. It was metal, but it wasn't just a pole. But
Okay.
she didn't play.
Yeah.
Whether it was a knife or whatever it was, she was with whatever. She was with whatever in that moment. But I I actually thank God that I didn't have people who communicated about gayness, because the way that the universe and God shaped me, healed the things that came from childhood that could have equated to a different experience in the gay community. Had I had those experiences, had I had those role models, I probably wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing today, because I would still be living in my talent where the enemy is, and the enemy is your fear, your insecurities, and all that stuff. And I wouldn't have been able to actualize my gift where God is, where my purpose is, where my passion is. So I'm actually grateful that I didn't have anybody to talk about those
Hmm.
things with.
That's an interesting perspective, because we've talked about this on a previous episode, or at least I've mentioned this, and I have no problem dying on this hill, and that is, I feel like if you are a parent of a clearly non-straight, or let's say a queer kid, um, and you know that kid is queer, not saying anything to them, and that I was waiting on you to come out, that just irritates me so, because I feel like so many of us that live a queer experience, a gay experience, a same gender loving experience, a trans experience, don't have anyone to talk to. And here we are with a could have been a resource for us, but we were so scared to disappoint this person that they would rather us wait to come to them. And I'm not saying that, it has to be some big grandiose thing, but at least giving someone the opportunity and the space to be like, hey, Jeff, if there's anything that you want to talk about, or you feeling in a little, some kind of way, just let me know. It's okay. There won't be any type of judgment. If I had that growing up, I feel like that would have maybe not changed a lot for me, but just having that opportunity to have some type of support where I didn't have to feel like, oh, I'm going to disappoint anyone. Because when I officially came out, I, growing up and before I got to that point, I had to get mentally prepared to cut off everyone. So I had to make sure that I was independent. I had a job, I had money, so that if I never talked to anyone in my family ever again, I would be okay, because I did not need them. I wouldn't need anyone to help me pay a bill. I didn't need anyone to help me get set up in a new town or anything. That I was completely independent from any family in case I did get the worst news from them. And I'm saying that as a person that was 40 when they came out. So we're talking about almost 10 years now. But if I had that coming up when I was a teenager or young adult in my 20s, I think that support would have meant the world for me. And maybe it would not have put me on this path. I'll never know. And I'm very happy that I'm on the path that I'm on. But I would have appreciated having that support instead of having the fear of disappointing those people, or thinking that, oh, it's all going to be over and I've got to process this. Whereas if I could have just said, hey, I'm gay. Hey, Jeff, it's okay. We'll walk this path with you together. We'll help you navigate this. That would have been awesome for me.
Do you think that, playing devil's advocate here, do you think that young Jeff hearing what you just said from like a parent or somebody else, do you think that you would have, if you heard that, you would have gone to that person and actually said something? Young Jeff, not Jeff now.
I can say for me, if I felt, and I'm putting this out there, not necessarily on my mom or sister or any other close relative. I feel like, again, like I said, if someone had given me the space, I feel like I would have been able to communicate that, or at least I would have been like, okay, they gave me an out. I can go back to my
Or an
room and
in,
think about
actually.
this, and I can, think about it. I don't have to answer this question right now, but I've got the door open so I can go back to it and knock on it and open it up.
In the same vein, when I put myself in your shoes, at one point in time in my life, I would have loved to have had something like that. Now that can look back, I did not have the vocabulary and I didn't have the courage to, I had the confidence, but not the courage. I had the confidence to say, hi, I'm a man that happens to be gay. But I didn't have the courage to back it up with the actual, this is what I feel like. I didn't have the emotional intelligence. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the words to articulate where I actually am and what it feels like. And I had accepted myself. But when you accept things, then understanding comes, then knowledge comes, then wisdom comes. I was at a point back then where I was trying to understand. Because, when you try to understand first, that brings reasoning and confusion. And that's why we all sat in that confusion. And so that's why I say two things can simultaneously exist at the same time. You could still be and feel the way that you are. And I've felt that before. But I also am so grateful that at a time like now, where I can actually articulate how I feel, I can articulate, outside that feeling. I can, as we say, get out of your feeling, get out of the feeling and get out of the way and actually have a moment to experience with my family now, you know, where I'm not worried about what they say. I'm not worried about what they think. When we're all sitting around and we're talking and they talking about the girls that they fucked and they talking about this and I talk about, the relationships and the guys that I fucked, and don't skip a beat. It just rolls off my tongue because I'm in my courage phase. This phase in life for me right now, every story has a hero. You have your Batman, you have your Joker, which is your villain, and you have your guide. I'm no longer trying to be the hero of the story. I'm Alfred. Batman wouldn't be shit without Alfred. So I think that's why my conversation around I'm grateful for that didn't happen, because I'm in my guide phase.
Yeah, I mean, and there's these are two completely different situations and perspectives on that, and I don't think that there's no right or wrong way to go about
Absolutely
it,
not.
because like I said, if I had had the opportunity, that would have been great. Not saying that I could have taken it, because if I didn't take it and was going to be on the same path anyway, that would have been fine. But I could never say that no one gave me the opportunity to come out or talk to them about it. I just didn't have that opportunity presented to me. So I say that as a person that doesn't have kids, and y'all know that the people love to tell people that don't have kids that we don't know how to raise kids and things like that. But I'm just saying, in my situation, if I had had that opportunity, it would have been nice. That's all I'm saying. Still going to be the hill that I die on when it comes to that.
Could I ask you a question? So, in your formative years, did you create the opportunity for you to go to college?
Yes.
Did you create the opportunity to do applications and get a job after college?
Yeah, there was in my household, that was the option. There was no other option but to go to college. Like, that was the expectation.
Right. So in what I hear from you, is that you seeing things the way that they go and how people created things. But you would have liked somebody to create that for you, even though you could have created the opportunity for the conversation. You could have made yourself available. You could have given cues. You could have created that. But there was something in you that knew your timeline that caused you to not create that, because everything else in your life you created for yourself. But there was something in you that knew it's not the time. Let me incubate.
Well, I'll say this, because I did not engage in any type of same-sex anything until I was in college.
Mm.
So what I'm saying in this situation is that I feel like for me, I grew up in a situation where I hated my hometown, and my prime directive was to get out. And college was already the expectation. So step one for me was, let me get my ass out of this little ass town around people that I don't like, that people that don't like me, that I don't really want to be around anyway. So the sooner I can do that, and college is going to be the way to do that, I'm taking that path. So if that preempted any other type of conversation, because to me, sexuality, like you said, if you didn't have sex until you was 24 years old, and I didn't lose my virginity until I was almost 21, then, clearly sex and relationships were not top of mind for me at that
Right,
time.
right, right.
I was trying to get the fuck up out of where I was living,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my prime directive. Now, that being said, again, I presented more as a geek, more as a nerd. So if it could have been that people saw that softness and determination to be, oh, let me go get this computer program and let me get into these electronics that I like, that could have overshadowed any type of other parts of my personality that could have shown out. Because even if someone thought I was gay or into dudes or whatever, I think the geekiness of me overshadowed that.
Do you think, not think, do you, if you could go back in this moment and actually start to really look at different moments in your life, do you see where there was an opportunity where you subliminally try to let people know through the things that you were doing?
No,
Yeah, I
no,
felt the
because
same. Felt the same.
I was focused on just trying to get through school, get through college. That was my prime directive. So there really wasn't, other than my hobbies, playing video games, this, that, and the other, those little things didn't really kind of come to play. Like my sexuality, relationships really were not top of mind, because even as a teenager, I knew I didn't want to be involved in a relationship or have a girlfriend like that, because I was like, well, after I graduate, what's going to happen? Because I'm going over here. She's going to be going over there. What's the point of me getting in a relationship? Like, to me, my brain, as logical as it was, the logic that I was thinking at that time, relationships didn't make sense to me, because I was like, all of us are going to school. We're in a little ass town. Everybody wants to go to a school that's hours or even out of state. So why am I trying to tie myself down to this person that may not even go to the same school that I'm going to go to? And we're all going to be experiencing different things. So my brain was just kind of like all over the place when it came to stuff like that. So I didn't see that relationships and things like that had any real point, other than just trying to, now looking back, I can say the point of having a relationship growing up in junior high, high school, would have been to socialize and how to prepare yourself for relationships as an adult. Because we talk about this on the show a lot, gay men don't know how to date and don't know how to
They
deal
don't
with
know how to
other
be
people
in
when it comes to do that.
relationship with
Right.
others.
So to me, those points did not make sense. Now, if I was in a bigger city, say like a New York or LA or a Dallas, again, where, hey, it would have been possible to go to school in state or in town and still retain that high school sweetheart type of relationship, because I didn't need to go to a bigger, metro area to experience things, then that could have been different. But that's, again, not my experience. But for me, growing up in a small town just didn't make sense to me.
I know I get it because I just wanted to, be painted a picture, um, because I was much like you. I was the nerd stuck in a jock's body, though. So the best way to not be visible at home to where violence could happen to you was to go play basketball. And then if it really got
Mm-hmm.
serious, oh, we about to step out in the street. Instead of fighting, we about to take our shoes and socks off and we about to race because I got to get something off my chest and I got to beat you in front of everybody. But yeah, in school, I had my Dungeons and Dragon friends who lived near the school, and they were the white kids who had the money and all these other things, but they were the nerdy kids. And then I had my other friends. I was much of a chameleon. I didn't really resonate with the athletes, you know, but I had fun with my friends who played video games. I didn't really care for video games that much because my cousins played all the time and I played growing up. But again, my friends in school who I protected were the guys who were the geeky guys, who were your nerdy guys, who were the guys who, didn't have not just many friends, but I seen they were the othered. And now that we're having this conversation, I think right now, and I use think because there is a little doubt, I think because I befriended the others, that set me up to be othered in life and figure out that was probably the journey to my queerness. Because you're taking care of people who were othered, who were made fun of. I watched kids make fun of my friend Herman McMichael, who, wore high waters every day, who didn't have the name brand shoes, who, didn't have the clothes. And he was huge. He was like 6'3" and, the haircut was terrible. And Jason Lowe, all these kids were made fun of, and I wouldn't let them be made fun of because I know how that felt. And possibly that was probably the seed that was being watered in me to have the courage in my queerness. Because at 16 years old, I graduated high school and I went to school an hour away to wait for my cousin to graduate. And then we hightailed it to California to play basketball at a college out in California. Little did we know, you're 45 minutes from the Castro. And I started off in Sunnyvale, then Mountain View, then Palo Alto, then Menlo Atherton, and then Burlingame, San Carlos, then San Francisco. I went all the way up. And when I finally started to go out to gay clubs, I started living in San Francisco. So there was always, that was probably my journey. So that was probably my seed. Yeah.
The gay what?
Epicenter.
Oh yeah, right. Absolutely.
And not to mention, to be very fair with you guys, when you went to San Francisco at that time in 1996, 97, even if you felt some type of queerness, you were so afraid of it because at that time, the AZT medication caused facial erosion and caused bloating of the organs. And I don't like using this word, but people looked like monsters to you when you were a kid. I was in college at 17. I was at college at 16, but I was in college at 17 years old. And you're going up there to see San Francisco for the first time, the big city. First time you see Mexicans and Asians and all these other things. And then you see these men who are gay, who are felt safe in this community. And they're walking around with the facial erosion and all this other stuff. And they're in their little shorts and they're in their tank tops and they're still living. And everything that you heard about, being gay was on TV with the Grim Reaper holding his stick. And if you have sex with men, you're gonna get AIDS and you're gonna die. And the Grim Reaper coming across the screen and that fucking fear that they put on us. And then you go see these men who clearly those are parts of having AIDS. So then there's again the shrinkage. Let me go back down here. But again, I just think that maybe that othered community in school was part of the watering of my seed for me to gain the courage to be who I am today. Even seeing those guys walking around, seeing those men, black men and white men walking around with facial erosion, protruding bellies, walking around in their tank tops, still living, taking 16 to 36 different pills and still pumping through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
No matter how they were viewed, no matter how they were looked, if that doesn't give you some type of, makes you pump your chest out because they paved the way for us, just because the medications are better today and you can you equals you now.
Yeah.
Again, I just think that was probably another, feather into my wings that gave me the courage to fly and be the way that I am, because I didn't see that as just as scary. I seen that as courage.
How do both of you feel that your journey or our journeys collectively inform our current work?
Yeah, I identify as a black man and then a geek first. And my sexuality, doesn't really, for me, have anything to do with my professional career. It doesn't really integrate into what I do personally. I think I mentioned on a previous show that, where I work, the last two places where I've worked, there's been plenty of opportunity to be out. There's specific employee groups where you can join the gay and trans club, you can join the black club, you can join the men's club, you can join the sign language club. Like there's all these different clubs and identities that a person can join, and then they all have different things and events that they do, either locally or company wide. And so I intentionally, the last two jobs, made sure that I didn't have anyone to out me or whatever, because I was already out. So I wanted to make sure that, it was known that I was gay. So it wouldn't be a thing that came up later on. Like if I start on day one with this, then I don't have to talk about this ever again. That's the only thing that I think kind of shows up with me. I do have a little badge or whatever. My badge does have the rainbow on it because I find it easier to find in my bag than the black one. So it's a lot more, I'm comfortable wearing it, but it also has the dual function that if I'm digging in my bag trying to get my badge out, oh, here it is right here. It's all these trillion different colors on it. So, and I think it does make it, I will say this. I feel like when I have my badge on at work, when I'm in the office, that it does make people more comfortable to come to me and say certain things to me that they probably would not say if I just had the black badge, because they'll see that, he's got this pride badge on. So I can tell him these things. I can talk to him. I can ask him these questions, where they probably wouldn't do certain things with me, just because they would probably assume that I was straight or at least not gay. So I do feel like that gives a person an opportunity. But as far as specifically in my line of work, I don't think it really kind of translates beyond that. And then again, I'm not in the office a lot, so I don't really interact with people that are outside of my team. So I just don't have the opportunity. If I was in an office all the time, I probably could answer this question a lot better than this, or be able to give you more insight. But it's just how working from home is for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, my beige ass can't get away from it.
That's right.
I work in West Hollywood. I run Nike training studios in West Hollywood. Our sign is Nike training studios, Rainbow WeHo. I am the only black manager, studio manager. We have a black head coach. My other teammate is a head coach. He's black straight man. And my queerness comes last. But I will say this. West Hollywood's just gay as hell. And it's affluent. It's a tourist spot. And it does give me the opportunity to create for the community. I'll just share it. I've been texting with the mayor of West Hollywood. Her and I have met at my studio, and we're working on mental health, diversity, and wellness in the community of West Hollywood to bring more, so that Black and brown people can feel safer in the community instead of just going somewhere and not feeling comfortable because we don't have anywhere else to go. So we only go to like a couple of the bars there. No. I'm a part of helping create more safe spaces for us to be able to go and we feel comfortable spending our dollars. Not that we're tolerated, but we spend our dollars in these places and there's more functions and I'm just bringing more blackness to the West Hollywood area and bringing that mental health aspect of it, bringing that fitness aspect of it, creating events where, I've got Beam, and you guys should look up Beam. That's YOLO, who is absolutely amazing. Gerald Garth, who is Ahmad Institute, bringing these people. I'm talking with Love B. Scott and having B do a day at my studio. I'm talking to all these other people because I work for a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate with Nike behind me. And so I'm bringing my people, my Black queer, my Latino queer, my Asian queer people, because the centeredness that's there, they already have everything at their disposal. And it doesn't mean they don't need anything. They do need the mental health space and they love my studio because they love talking to me when I do everything from mental health to emotional health that heals your spiritual health and that helps your physical health. They love that conversation because nobody's been able to talk to them in that way. But my first priority is to make sure that we open our doors and bring in our Black and brown people so that we can talk about fitness, we can talk about our mental health. We have a place where we can congregate first And then we can start moving down to where all the other bars and all that stuff is. So I'm very, even though I don't lead with my queerness, I'm very fortunate and privileged to be chosen because I don't look like the demographic that's there. But my company chose me to be there, and they didn't know that I was gay. And when I told them, hey, I'm a man that happens to be gay, and this is what I've done, and then they started looking me up, and then they start seeing my events, and they're super happy, with what we're doing. They came in, to be honest with you, they came in after I had been there 2 months and painted the WeHo sign rainbow. The whole staff. I have one white guy, one Latino guy, and that's just the front desk. And black girl, black dude, one white girl, and another Latino guy. We are completely diverse at the front desk. When it comes to trainers, straight black man, one queer gay black man, one white girl, and one white guy, two white guys, and one happens to be from Australia. Three are queer, three are queer, two are straight, one's adjacent. She doesn't identify as bisexual as a black woman, but she says she's adjacent, so she's getting there. But so we have
Fluid.
such a collection of people that we've hired so that everyone has someone that they can identify with and representation at my studio. So it's not that I lead with it, but we are the safe hub where you can come and then you can work out. You can wear your little booty shorts or you can wear your goth shit, but there's representation there for you. And I love that. I love that you can't tell me that God didn't prepare this for me because I put it out there at 11:59 on December 31st, and I burned it in my little cauldron, and I prayed over it, and I did my meditation, and I lit my sage and went around my house, and everything that was for me started off with my own health experience and me dropping 63 pounds and then getting all these promotions to be put in place to run this place. It was by design. So yeah, it's great to be in a queer space, themed space, but that's open to all. And I don't have to promote it and throw up all the different things, but everybody feels safe and comfortable coming into my studio, being who they are, as they are, the way that they are, even if you're homeless, even if you're wealthy.
That's awesome that you're doing that with such intention.
Absolutely. I think for me, much like you two, I don't lead with my queerness or my same gender lovingness. I don't lead with that at all. In most instances, I don't even talk about that because I don't want that to be what other people lead with. I don't want them to lead with, oh, that's, Curitan, that's Dr. C, he's gay. Like, I don't want that to be the thing. I want other things to be what precede me versus just my sexuality. However, though, my journey, though, in this lifestyle within the community, etc., has been one that has taught me a lot more. I don't want to say tolerance, but I'm going to use the term tolerance. And it has taught me a lot more about the levels and the layers of people that I'm going to encounter in my field, and I'm in education. So there are people who I have encountered who are transitioning. There are people I have encountered who are gay and who are kind of in that struggle phase that we all kind of went through when we were younger. So I can identify with that. I have people who are straight who don't understand that aspect of things, and I kind of know how to handle them and how to deal with them and how to make the classroom or my classroom environment be inclusive and be a safe space. So definitely it has helped me when I'm dealing with people who are part of the trans experience, or like I said, are in the process of transitioning, and I see it. I can visibly see that they're in that space, and I go up to them after class and say, okay, hey, I wanted to ask you what your pronouns are, so that I'm aware that when I am talking about you or talking to you or referencing you, that I am honoring that. And there have been instances where I slip up, definitely, but I always apologize for that. And to even see those students come to me and say, you know what, I really appreciate you asking me that, and I appreciate you being concerned about that, and not just saying, oh, well, this is what you look like, so this is what I'm going to call you, kind of thing. So it has definitely informed how it has informed me on who I'm dealing with, not necessarily how I deal with it, but whom I have to deal with within my profession. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
Right.
Yeah, because I believe the one thing that's common across all three of us is that we all have to deal with people all the time. You're dealing with people that are coming in for fitness, and Darius, you're dealing with students and things. And I, again, work in a corporate office where many of the times I'm dealing with people that my interaction is normally in the early stages of a project. So a lot of the times I'm dealing with new hires or the people that are new to the company. And so that's why I meant earlier, when people have lots of questions, they'll see me with my little badge and be like, oh, this may be a resource for me. So yeah, we have to be, as far as my company, even though a lot of people have done away with official DEI policies and things like that, it's still there. It's just not really labeled as DEI anymore. So yeah, when you're dealing with the world and different people, and you have to respect different people's identities and things like that, it just kind of comes a part of the job. Yeah.
What's the legacy that you want to leave, not just as a coach or a model or an IT professional, or even me as a professor, but as a queer Black man?
My legacy would be, and it's wild to say this because of the things that I've been fortunate to do and be a part of, but I don't need to be known by the world. I just want to mean the world to the people that I'm around. And my legacy would be that. My legacy will be love. I truly believe that the love that is me has been felt and is being felt everywhere. And people get to speak on my name in many different versions of my life, whether I was the hero, the villain, or the guide. But they get to speak about it in love. You get to speak about it in, connection. You get to speak about it in something that has come through me that's been a message. Because I am a messenger. I'm not the message. The message is perfect, and I don't have to be. But I get to leave a legacy of love, a legacy of connection, a legacy of hope and courage and joy and wholeness and overcoming. When you go from addiction to status to acceptance, those other things, the modeling, the basketball, the blah blah blah, that was for me to accept the territory that God was giving me to actually actualize and share these things. All these different books that I've been given. Well, I paid for them, but somebody shared with me to get them, to read and to ingest. So my legacy will be love. And we know as Black men, we're only taught to be important. And the way that we're taught to be important is to be busy. And I'm busy loving. And so in this community, my hope is that when every feather is done being put into my wings, that I will not have an ounce of talent. I will not have one gift left. I will have given it all. And wherever God chooses to send me from there, I just know in this plane, in this dimension, that I left all my love. I left all my hope. I left all my truth. I left all my vision. I left all my talent. I left all my gifts. and somebody else can take it from there.
Awesome. Jeff?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real simple. I just want to be known as a good person, and that's pretty
Right.
much all there is to it. I don't really have a other than this is like our platform. If I were to, um, expire tonight, or after this is uploaded, that's the only thing that I kind of want is just to be known that I was a good person. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I'd like to think that you said a lot of what I was thinking, Marco, but I think to add to what you already said, I definitely want to leave a legacy of support. There have been, instances in life where I have supported others, and that support has not been consistent, nor has it really been fully reciprocal. And I can't say that I'm looking for it to be 50-50 or all the way as reciprocal as I have tried to be, but even just an iota of that, to come back to me, I've struggled sometimes with that. Not with everybody, but definitely in some instances. And so I want to make sure that people know, as they know who I am, they know that, you know what, not only was he a black man that was from the South, that was kind of soft spoken, that was very educated, but was not so educated that he couldn't understand my viewpoint and understand where I was coming from and the things that I was going through and my emotional state and my lack of social battery, like that he wasn't able, he definitely understood those things, but that he supported me throughout all of that, whether that was support in my educational pursuits, my social pursuits, my mental pursuits, etc. And that's one thing that again, I know that I missed a little bit, was that level of mentorship and support. And so I definitely try to pay that back, and I try to pay that forward in everything that I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Marco, do you have anything new that you can discuss that is coming up?
Before I jump off, I am doing many events at Nike Training Studio West Hollywood, and a movie that I'm filming right now entitled Jared. I'm in the movie Jared. It's about a black over. It's kind of funny that we're talking about this. Jared is actually more on the long of the side of a black man who was married. He was othered. He felt, like he was kind of geeky and not. He didn't feel a part of the community. So, in order to not lead his wife on, and to make sure that he lived in his truth with his kids, because he didn't even want to be a part of the gay community. He didn't want any of these things. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted his life, his dream that he already had, but he had to be truthful about what something that was in him. And so I am his guide. I'm his gay guide. But I'm also kind of his love interest, because he also has a program of a guy with, black man with muscles and all that type of stuff. But I see him and I have an interest in him and I want to be his guide. So to help him, see what it's like. And we don't have many stories like that about, black men who are bigger men who actually have love interest, and how they find to love themselves. How do they come out in their mid 30s? How do they, they have these great, jobs and all these other things. Where are their stories? So we're doing a story on that this week. We've been filming for the last 3 days.
Awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
I know. So listen, everybody, growing up gay, especially as black boys, young black men, it's never been easy. So, but what we were reminded today of is that even in silence, that even in shame, that we're always becoming, we're always changing, we're always evolving. And we were finding our power even if we didn't have the language for it. We didn't have the words. We didn't have the vocabulary. So wherever you are in your journey, whether you're closeted, whether you're healing, whether you're loud and proud, just know that you're not broken. that you're not alone, and you are a masterpiece that is that work in progress. So just keep showing up and keep choosing yourself.
All right, so let's wrap up this episode of Just Drawz. Thanks, DeMarco, for being our guest this time. Appreciate you. And we hope you viewers, what was that?
I said we love having you.
Yes. And hopefully you'll come back in the future. All right, so we hope you all felt the love and laughed a little bit and learned something new on this show.
Now, remember that the conversation does not stop here. So please make sure that you talk back to us on our social media. We have pretty much every social media, or come to our individual social media pages if you don't want to put comments there. Say what's up, share your stories, or, give us some criticism. Tell us about your experience growing up. We'd love to hear it.
All right. Until then, just be bold, just be beautiful, and most importantly, just keep collecting those feathers and put them in your wings.
That's right. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify at Just Drawz. That's JUSTDRAWZ. Until next time.